Well, hello and welcome. I'm very excited to have you here tonight to share in this incredible class with me. I'm so thrilled. And those of you who don't know me, my name is Cecily MacArthur. And some of you may be new. Some of you, I've got some old fans on here I can see. So I really appreciate people coming back. And again, if you don't know who I am, I want to just give you a little background about me. I am an intuitive life coach, a spiritual teacher, speaker, and writer, and I help people awaken to spirit, discover their divine magnificence, and transform their dreams into reality. I have a website if people want more information about me. If you haven't been there, it's CoachCecily.com. And we're also working on expanding out the lightbeamevents.com. It's where a lot of the programs I have and any other people have been signed up for membership there. There's a lot of free stuff there too. So appreciate that. And I've also got a big lots of pages on Facebook, and you can find me there, and love for you to be a friend or join my fan page and connect with me there. So wonderful. I would like to then just do a little logistics here so you understand what we're going to do here tonight. I'm going to try to keep it an hour, but we want to put some questions at the end, so I'm willing to run over a little bit if we do that, because I do want to make sure we answer your questions. So please hold them till then, but, write them down as you think of them. And please ask questions, because whenever people ask questions, there's always many people out there who benefit from the answers and or had the exact same question. So, it's great to have people speak up at the end and do that. So you will get a replay. A lot of people asked about replay. Always going to be a replay. We love instant teleseminar for that. It's really easy. It just automatically becomes a replay. So we will send out that link if you want to listen to the replay again. You might want to listen to this more than once. You will get an email, and then you're also in the email. You're going to get a link to special offer. If you registered, if you're on the line today, you're listening to the replay, or you registered for this class. I have a special offer for this group, and I'm going to talk more about that as we go through the process. I'm very excited that they have a group coaching opportunity that I'm just creating just for this material, and I'm so excited to be able to bring it to you. And the other thing is, potentially, if you want to take some notes, pen and paper, it's a good idea, to get yourself that right now so you can take a few notes. And I'm hoping that this is going to, the information here tonight is really going to be important to you moving forward in your life and in your weight release program. So let's get started on some of that. I wanted to just begin with a sort of my overall discovery in this process and sort of kind of clarify what we're going to cover here tonight, because I do believe that nutrition and exercise are hugely important. You are not going to be able to release your weight if you eat ice cream and pizza. It just doesn't work. You sit on the couch all day. That's not going to help you. But I'm not going to focus on that, because I really do feel that, the idea is you want to have a really healthy nutrition plan. I also used a plan with cleansing, and which I think is extremely important when you are losing weight, because your body is releasing toxins, so I think cleansing is an integral piece of it. And I think exercise is also, just to keep the body moving, is important. But overall, if you combine nutrition and cleansing and exercise, I'm thinking it's like, really only 30-40% of the solution to really creating up your dream body, your ideal body, getting down to your ideal weight. I really think, it's 60-70% about inner work. And that's really the major discovery that I had. So we're not going to talk about that. Just to mention to you, I did use a product called Isogenics. It's an excellent food, all organic and completely nutritionally balanced, has a great cleansing process, which is very gentle and comfortable. And I really enjoyed these products. I'm not hawking them, but I do suggest them. If people want to know more about Isogenics, then I really would love you to email me, because it was a huge piece of discovery in terms of changing my diet, but it is not what I'm going to focus on tonight. So give me a email at Cecily@CoachCecily.com. CECILY, if you can't spell my name. And that, just let me know if you want to know more about it. I'd be happy to share that, but I'm not going to focus on that tonight because what I'm looking at is really that 60-70%, which I really think is that inner work. It is working from the inside out. It is doing the work that we need to do to be fully who we are in this world, and that the weight piece of it will happen as a result of that. So let me know if you want to know more about Isogenics. The other thing is language, going back and forth here. I really don't like the term losing weight. You kind of have to use it in a title because that's what people are expecting. They don't really understand it, and or it gets picked up on any kind of Googling. So you tend to use it, but I really think of it, as releasing weight, because we're really wanting to let go of weight and forever. When we seem to lose things, we think we want to find them again. If you've been on a diet roller coaster, as I have been for most of my life, it's somehow those lost pounds showed up again. So we're releasing weight forever in our language here, and that's the concept. Language is important, and when we talk about more about the law of attraction and just the words we use, it's important. And then in tribute to my dear friend Hattie, she talks about being closer to your core, and this to me is really a great way of thinking about it. It's not weight loss, or even necessarily being able to release weight. It's not about weight in theory. It's really about getting close to your core physically, to your core in your body, being able to feel those hip bones and those stomach muscles. That's, the core physically, but it's also the core spiritually. It's who you truly are inside, and finding that person, that spirit, that beautiful, divine magnificence that you are, to be able to connect with that part of you. So getting closer to your core, to me, is a real great way to think about this journey. And so what we're going to do is talk about some 5 steps that I've really kind of worked with. I've worked them for myself. I've been working them with individual clients to help them to get closer to their core. It is part of what I'm going to be doing too, going forward with this group program that I'm going to tell you about. But these 5 steps are very interrelated, so they're not in a particular order in that sense. I'm going to start with them and walk you through it, and you'll see how they all really are all connected. It's really working that 60-70% of the inner work that was the ultimate reason why I felt I was able to be successful in my journey to get closer to my core in the last year. So let me tell you a little bit about, if you haven't heard my story, some of you have heard my story in where I've been in the last 4 years in particular. 4 years ago in the October, I was a overweight, exhausted, and miserable corporate consultant. I really did not like my life. I was on a plane every week flying to clients. It was just not a happy camper. And huge image around the overweight piece. Just was not paying attention to it, just, wearing the black suit and ignoring the fact that I was not taking care of myself, being on the road, eating and drinking, and doing things that were not good for my body, but totally ignoring myself physically. And then I found out I had cancer. And, boy, that is a definite wake-up call for you. Again, people have heard the story. It was a miracle for me. I went in for a routine surgery to find out what was going on, and they discovered I had early-stage ovarian cancer, which they don't find in early stages. It never happens. It always gets found in late stage, and it's always fatal. And they were able to get it early. They were able to make sure there was nothing else there, it was, clearly a miracle. And when it was pointed out to me that it was a miracle, because I didn't understand that, by one of the nurses, I really took a vow then to change my life, because it was apparent that God had a purpose for me, and that I was supposed to still be here, and that I was heading to a place where I wasn't going to be here anymore, but that I was given a second chance. And I took that really seriously. So I had to go through chemotherapy. If you've experienced that yourself or know people who've been through that, you can know how devastating and physically debilitating that can be. So, basically when I came through that, glad to be alive and just working my spiritual side as much as possible to stay as positive as possible during that process. It's a very dark process, and it's really hard to keep your light shining when your cells are dying. And what I did was I really made a huge change in my lifestyle, because I had to rebuild myself back physically, and it was also an opportunity to rebuild who I was back, because obviously the life I've been living and the person I had become was not healthy and was not who I was supposed to be. So I did a lot of work on the lifestyle, changed my food, found a lot of great stuff, green smoothies. Those of you who are into that, a lot of raw food, a lot of healthy, organic, really changing what I was putting in my body. Exercise, I had to really start slow because I couldn't exercise much at all. I was just, walking at short distances initially was incredibly difficult. And then I worked up to it and was able to, eventually be able to get back in the gym and really develop some endurance again, because I had no wind, I had no strength. I ended up changing relationships. One that I was in, boyfriend I had, we still cared about each other, but I had changed. This process had changed me, so it just wasn't working anymore. And then the main job, I couldn't do this corporate job anymore. Just didn't want to. So I started to get certified to be a life coach while I was still working, and just to have clients and get my business going. And then divine order, I got laid off and got a package and unemployment, and it was a joyful day. Started changing as I went through. I also cleaned my environment, a lot of clutter going on in there. And I got myself a dog. I love my dog, Chewy. Hopefully he won't make any noise while we're on this broadcast, but he has added a lot to my life. Wanted a dog for years, but because I was on the road, I couldn't have it, so changed my life all around. To working as an employee, to being an entrepreneur and working from home, and really now then had the opportunity to really expand my spiritual side, which for years had been there, but was kind of a sideline, and it wasn't who I was day to day. And I made a commitment that I was going to live this life, this spiritual side, and really worked on my intuition and work in communication with angels. And those of you who have been on any of the Angel Telesummits know about how I feel about angels. I really worked a lot of my stuff, took lots of programs and worked a lot of techniques and practices for myself to really change how I was showing up in the world, to be coming from the spiritual side, which was always there, but had not really fit into this corporate lifestyle that I had been living before. But I started through this process. I was just not losing weight. I was down to 20 pounds, but it wasn't going anywhere. I was by November of 2010, so it was just a little bit before the beginning of the year. I made a decision. I was just like, this has got to change. I have to do something about this, because I wasn't in alignment or congruent with this spiritual person. The spiritual person was not this chubby person that I was. It just didn't fit my body. It just wasn't fitting how I felt inside. And I was like, all right, I got to figure out what I need to do to make this happen. And that's when a friend of mine, my friend Sandra, she showed up with the Isogenics again. It was just amazing when I asked for a nutritional plan to change just another step in my nutritional change. Like miracles, Isogenics showed up, and it was a perfect choice for me. Everybody's different, but for me it worked beautifully. And for the first time, really, I started to really make some progress. And having been a chubby person all my life, I was a chubby child, and I went on my first diet at age 13. So some of you may relate out there. How old were you when you went on your first diet? I have a client she was 9 years old. Her mother put her on a diet. So, a lot of people out there have been on dieting for a lot of their lives. Some people just have maybe put on weight as they've gotten older, or have had children. But I came from a long line of my entire life of always being a chubby person. So it was like there was something I needed to do around this, and I was going to make that work. And that's where I started to really apply a lot of what I was learning to my physical body. And one of the things, so let's start with the first concept here, was really around raising my vibration. And that's really an important piece to really start about that, because it's how I felt about my body. Now, I've been teaching an energy scale for probably about 3 years, but it never occurred to me to apply it to my body. So I want you to imagine the energy scale is, you were talking 1 to 10, a scale of 1 to 10. So 10 is total joy and ecstatic and happy as can be, and 1 is as low and fearful and miserable as you can be. And I asked myself, okay, so where on that scale is my attitude towards my body? So I know when I was a corporate consultant, it was, probably a 3 or a 4. I didn't pay a lot of attention to my body. I pretty much hated it and loathed it and ignored it. And it had gotten a little better when I had, changed my diet and was paying more attention to my body physically and was doing some colonics and different healing modalities, paying more attention. But overall, I still wasn't up on the high end of the scale here. And the high end of the scale is a high vibration. So, this is where we manifest. This is, people have heard of love or above. This is where we really live in this ability to create our life. And trying to move myself up from other areas in my life, I was doing it. I was up there. I could really vibrate in high areas spiritually, but physically, it wasn't in my body. It wasn't really working the body piece, and it was clearly still an issue for me. So I want you to think about that yourself while we're here. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Where would you put your attitude towards your body? How do you feel about your body? Or do you love your body physically? Most people I've found who have extra weight on their body would fall in the low end scale. And we've just learned at very early age to hate ourselves and to be ashamed about who we are. And so where are you on that scale right now? Not where you want to be, but where are you right now? So think about it in terms of the law of attraction, and we all know about if you buy into the idea of thoughts or things and that we are what we focus on, and that you really understand the concept of the mind-body connection, that it's all connected, that we are creating with our thoughts, that you really have to buy into the concept that you are 100% responsible for where the condition your body is in right now. That can be a little harsh reality for some people, and it was a harsh reality for me. It was like, all right, I got to take responsibility for this. I've created this chubbiness, and I own it. And no one else is responsible for it. It's not genetics. It's not, issues that I haven't worked. It is me. My thoughts to my body, about my body, have created this body. And the good news is that you can change that. Yay! Most of us have created our bodies by default, unless you're a bodybuilder or you're very conscious of how you eat, and you're not probably have any excess weight. Most of us are just by default. It just happens. And what you can do is actually create your dream body by design. You have that ability. We all have that ability. And when I realized that, I was like, all right, well, what do I want it to be? And so I started to imagine that. And I, originally was like, it's okay, as long as I'm healthy, that's fine. I was like, well, no, that's not enough. Really want to create it from a place of it really being a dream for me. And, that my age doesn't matter. My, abilities don't matter. It's what do I want, really? What do I want it to look like? And that's what it can be. There's no limits to that. It is our ability to create that. As long as we realize that, we take responsibility. And, of course, we all know about the subconscious and the limiting beliefs and all of this stuff we've been programmed onto that works against us. And it makes it difficult for us to really believe this and or know that we can actually get to this dream body that we have. So it also I had to think about what are some of the beliefs I have about my body? What are some of the limiting things? Because when you've been chubby all your life, you've set up some things about what you can and can't do, or you can and can't be, and or how other people have responded to me, and that this is kind of how it has to be because this is what has been an accumulative idea of my conditioning and my beliefs and my thoughts about myself. So I had to think about that. And I had to think about when was the first time that I was really shamed about my body? And that was an interesting thing to think about. It's like, all right, so let me go back and figure out, in my life, what were some of the incidences that actually made me realize that I felt bad about who my body was physically. And I was actually a client that was able to bring back a memory for me. And I don't know if people in their 50s on this call, you may have the same experience. If you're in the United States, in the schools, there was a school nurse, and every year every child was measured and weighed. And the nurse would, measure you and weigh you and announce your height and weight to someone who was writing it down. And usually it was an older kid who was helping. And I remember having that happen, feeling tremendous anxiety until it was my turn, getting on the scale, and then having the nurse whisper to the person who was writing down the weight, because it was so much more than what the other children weighed, and I'm just feeling such shame. So think about it. When was the first time you felt bad about yourself? How old were you when that shame started? Where did that start for you? Really important to get in touch with those moments and to really understand that can be a really difficult start for your own self-image and how you feel about yourself. And we also know that, we've got with the subconscious and the ego. Some people have heard that the acronym for ego is Edge God Out. In the Course in Miracles, I heard this the other day. The Course in Miracles says that the ego is really the fear voice inside of us, and it's suspicious at best and vicious at worst. So, when it comes to the physical body, the ego just has a field day with making us feel less than or in a place where we don't feel comfortable with who we are physically, and comparing and judging and having these shame experiences that we've held on to. But these are just your thoughts, and we are not our thoughts. And the subconscious and the ego it's not who we are. It's really basically all lies. So when you think about how to distinguish, what is true, what is your truth, and, some of the shame about yourself, that we've built in as what we thought is truth, you just have to ask yourself, does it feel heavy or does it feel light? If it's heavy, it's not true. So think about some of the things you think about yourself and test it. We buy into this stuff, and it's important that we really think about reprogramming our thoughts. And from that fear and loathing, which is what I felt for my body, is really have to get it to fall in love with your body as it is, the way it is, with all its imperfections, because it really needs you to think about that. And every cell in my body really responds to those loving thoughts. I really believe that. I really had that sense of being able to speak to them at the cellular level and tell my body that I do love it and that it is beautiful the way it is and that it's okay. And one of the things I had to do at this point was I actually got myself a full-length mirror. I realized I didn't have one in my house. That's how much I didn't want to look at myself. So that was one of the first things I did, was go out and get a full-length mirror so I could see myself fully and stand in front of it and be okay, because I was loving myself. I was learning to love myself. So many things about my body that's wonderful. I'm, functional and breathing, and there are so many things to be grateful for about your body. And really getting to think about looking at myself and thinking about it at a dream body level. It's like, what I can see myself. What do I want to be wearing? How do I want to be looking? How do I want to be feeling? And really have that at the high end of that scale. Really at a 10. My dream body is a 10, and that's the vibration that I want to get to, that I know that I'm working towards, and I'm almost there. You're pretty damn close, and I'm quite proud of that. So what do you want to create? What is your dream body? What is the high vibration body that you can picture in your mind using your imagination and create that for yourself and know that that is the body that you can have? All right. Well, the next piece is the feeling of your feelings, because when you work on your thoughts lead to feelings, and then your feelings lead to actions. So all of these three things need to be in alignment. So once you work on your thoughts, now you've got to get in touch with your feelings. So you're improving with positive high vibration thoughts. You're hopefully getting some really positive feelings. But we got a lot of stuff, old feelings, again, that have been from the old programming and the old beliefs that have been stuck in our body. So these are things we need to pay attention to when they show up. And so many people, and myself included, when you have excess poundage, that we are typically pretty numb to feelings. It's a form of protection from our feelings, and I've been struggling with that for many, many years. And it was really good when I finally admitted that and understood that that was part of what I needed to do anyway, just not just for the dream body, but for my dream life. The feelings are important. So also just oversensitive people tend to maybe have more weight problems than people who are not as sensitive, because they're picking up a lot of stuff from the world, and the weight is a form of protection from that. It's also an area to think about. And then there's a lot of people in this category too, myself included, who had some childhood trauma and abuse, or a lot of sexual abuse in people who have extra poundage. So protection, not feeling safe, weight is part of that process. So these are tough stuff to feel. These are tough areas to go into, and these can be challenging, but really important to get to the bottom, because it's going to continue. If it's not worked, if it's not felt, if it's not released, it's going to continue to bring yourself down to the low end of that scale and being stuck in fear and frustration and shame about your body. And you really have to get in touch. So part of it is to work through the conditioning that we've had to avoid our feelings. So much easier. And I've asked people about how they're feeling, and they'll tell me a thought. And I was like, no. How are you feeling? And it's sometimes hard to get there because we're just not taught to do that. And we are also, it's socially acceptable to stuff your emotions. Food is huge in this area. Also alcohol, drugs, and all kinds of self-medication, so we don't feel. So we do a lot of this on our own to keep that from happening. And then there are people who just have more dramatic emotions and project them. So these are people who have, will have hair trigger tempers, and they just, go off in a tantrum and just dump on everybody around them. So again, they're not appropriate feelings, but another way of people responding. Wasn't my issue. I was definitely a stuffer, and I could tell that, because I could always find myself cruising the cabinets when I was having an emotion and that I didn't want to face. All of a sudden I wanted something to eat. And, of course, you didn't want a carrot stick at that point. You wanted something, you wanted some carbs or some sugar or something that would make you feel better temporarily. That's part of that self-medication thing. So I started to notice that, when am I looking for food, and am I really hungry, or am I feeling something right now? And I'm noticing that. So am I feeling frustrated if I'm doing something? Very often when I'm creating, and I would just, get on this emotional piece, and some stuff would come up, and then all of a sudden I would be hungry. I'd catch myself in the cabinets looking for something. So then the idea would really be to address the feelings and to make sure that I notice it. So what am I feeling in this moment? Is it really food that I need? Or what do I need? Sometimes just going out for a walk and getting some fresh air is really what I needed to help with being frustrated, or to just be able to sit down and maybe write about what is going on so that I can let it go. So lots of different techniques, and we don't have a lot of time here for tonight to talk about, what to do there, but it is important that you find some way to work with the emotions, to notice when you're having them and paying attention, and to using some different ways to find particularly the trapped emotions, the things that are in your body. And really did a lot of work with body dialoguing and being able to get messages from my body. A lot of times when we have pains in our body, it is also something telling us something about our body too. So we can work a lot of emotions and get that connection back, because our bodies are very wise and they have a lot to tell us. So part of it is really understanding, what is it that you're feeling, and where in your body do you feel it? Because if you notice that, you bring the body down, the feeling down into your body. Now you're making that connection, because they are connected. And every emotion we have has a place in your body that it shows up. So it is important for you to do that and to notice that, and to really be able to feel your feelings and allow them, and then to release, to train yourself to let them go. And really also working on that self-judgment and guilt, noticing when, the lies again, checking these things out to really find is that you are these assumptions we're making, or the conditioning that we automatically go into when we get into this, these judgments, and really getting the idea that everything is really neutral. It's our thoughts that make it good or bad. So how do we get past that? And then, also thinking about what makes us feel good. So many people I work with, and they just don't know. It's like, well, can I make a list of things that would make you feel good? And they don't know. We're not conditioned to feel good or to do things for ourselves that make us feel good. So there's another aspect of it, is not only working with the stuff that's the fear and frustration and anger, and but also with being able to actually generate the high end of the scale type things, to be able to bring ourselves up. What makes you feel good, to be able to do that. And also a really great one, people have heard of access consciousness. I really love this. I've been using this a lot, is you having a emotional reaction to something, particularly something negative, and then you say, okay, where's that coming from? Who does that belong to? And a good 98% is what they say of what we're feeling is coming from other people. It doesn't belong to us. We're picking it up. It's either from our conditioning in the past, and you can hear your parents or your family members, their voice when something comes up, it's just from your environment. You're picking up from people around you, particularly if you're very sensitive. And I'm assuming there's a lot of people on the line here who are very sensitive. You're, 98%, not your stuff. So just by asking, who does it belong to, actually lifts it and lets it go. So a good technique for that. So we really want to take responsibility for our feelings and really practice that. And there's a lot more we can work on in this area. It's just a huge area, and it's a big one. And I still suffer from it. It's like it's such a habit to not feel. So this is an area that really takes a lot of work. The next one is practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness is really huge. A lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of forgiveness of others in your life, in my life in particular, and it's really, because through forgiveness, it really is where, miracles happen. And it is, as they say, it's really the catalyst for the greatest change that you can make in your life, is to start with forgiveness. And again, not something that we're taught how to do, or that it's even recommended. We are more conditioned to hold on to resentment and revenge. And people spend years holding on to hurts and injustices that they just will not let go. And it's a really great quote from a Chinese proverb I have, that he who does not forgive digs two graves. So it's, you're hurting yourself. We do it all the time, and it's a toughie. But it is important, and it is, if you're truly going to clean from the inside out, one of the things you got to work on is when you're going to work on physical toxins with cleansing and your diet, but the toxins of your emotions and the stuff you've held onto in your body. You really, there's what Mary Morrissey talks about is the toxic soil. You know, how do you plant the seeds of your dreams in toxic soil? So you got to clear that. You got to get rid of that stuff. If you truly want the body of your dreams, the life of your dreams, you got to work on this stuff. And you know, Mary also talks about it. You know, everyone has people to forgive, and it's, you can tell who they are by imagining them, and if it's dangerous for them to walk across your mind, and those are the people you need to forgive. They're the ones, you know, that you shoot daggers, or you think of them and you have these negative thoughts. So, you know, we have a lot of us, you know, from our families, we have childhood traumas, and again, the abuse piece, huge for people who with excess weight tend to have a lot of this in the past. So a lot of stuff, really healthy stuff to get rid of by forgiveness. And we really think of it as, you know, as forgiveness is really an emotion, but it's an action, it's a process. It's a way that you really want to take steps to forgive people. So it's not a feeling, it's a way of being with people that you can actually forgive them. So how do you do that? It is, you know, so many people are, you know, not even have any awareness of how to do that. But you really, the first step is to really just make a choice to forgive, because you really have to do that and decide you're going to do that. And then it's releasing all that ill will and harm to the person who's treated you unjustly. You got to let go of that stuff, you know. And it is not about, you know, condoning what they did. It's the stuff that you're holding on to that's only hurting you. You got to let go of that. And then it's really, you know, sending them some love energy, you know. And then a lot of times this is really hard for people who have hurt us, but it's so important to, you know, to say a prayers and energy to people, and, you know, that you're trying to forgive. And then it's also just, you know, using God and higher power. So let it go to God. It's like, you know, let God resolve it. It's really, you know, when people have done things that are unjust, it's for a higher level to resolve, not for you. So allow God to make the wrong right. And then the huge piece is self-forgiveness. You know, we do this, we beat ourselves up a lot, and it's really important to be able to, you know, to forgive yourself. And why, you know, we really take things so personally, and we beat ourselves up, and we say some really nasty things to ourselves. So part of it is really being able to, you know, if we have that piece of chocolate cake and it wasn't on the diet, instead of beating ourselves up, we just say, oh, wow, that was wonderful, and I still love myself. It's okay. And then you get back on your diet. You don't beat yourself up, and you don't have guilt. Or there's maybe other things that you need to forgive yourself for that you're holding in your body. So finding some of that along with some of the pain in your body and forgiving yourself, very important. And also being able to really allow yourself to learn from some of the things. So what are some of the pain that we've been through in the past, and what has it taught us? It happened for a reason. People showed up, injustice showed up, nasty things showed up, but ultimately, when we look back, there should have been a lesson. There's a reason. There was something you were supposed to grow to be more of who you are, to be more of the divine being that you are as a result. So it's looking for that, being able to figure out, you know, what did I learn about myself? You know, what is the wound that I needed to heal in order for me to be where I am? And to really be grateful for these gifts of discovery that have happened to us, that have helped us to actually grow and to be who we are. So my favorite here, and because of the time, I'm just going to move ahead and really think is the Ho'oponopono. And if people have heard of Ho'oponopono, and I share this with as many people as possible because it is the Hawaiian code of forgiveness, and I've used it countless times, and it works. It works all the time, and it is just the whole concept of the definition of it is that it means to make right. And it's a beautiful way of doing it. And it just, essentially it means to make it right with our ancestors or to make it right with people with whom we have relationships is the definition for it. So this is how it goes, and it's so simple. And if you have not familiar with it, I suggest you write this down. And if you can't spell Ho'oponopono, it's okay. But just remember these 4 things. I'm sorry. You start with I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And I had a client who was like, she had a big fight with her daughter, and it was her daughter's fault, and her daughter needed to apologize to her, and hold on a second. She said to me that, why would I be saying I'm sorry when she's the one who asked her to say I'm sorry? So the concept is it doesn't matter. By saying I'm sorry, you are just opening up because you've had negative thoughts about that person, so as a result, you apologize for that. It doesn't matter. And I've used this in many situations where, it didn't matter who was wrong, but I wanted to open up and shift the energy, and it works. So you keep repeating it, and you want to do it sincerely and send love with it because it is very powerful, and it works. So Ho'oponopono, try that. All right, so now I want to talk about releasing your fears, because this is a big piece of it, and that is something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about because I had a lot of fears that doing a lot of things for the first time and realizing I also had a lot of fears from childhood, a lot of feelings about being unsafe, again with the abuse background and some really not so happy things. So it's really trying to get off this struggle channel and to get off the low end of the scale, which is where all that fear pulls you down. And it's, again, not true. It's lies. It's heavy stuff. It's not light stuff. It's not true. But we hold on to it. But we again, the poor body absorbs all this stuff. And a lot of that causes our own illnesses, but also the excess weight is, there to help protect us, again, from some of this work. And a lot of it is, I did a lot of inner child work and really found, I had little Cecily was, this terrified kid hiding under the bed because life was scary growing up. And I had to work a lot with her, figuring out what does she need, and to also release from her a lot of the grown-up things she was trying to do. She would show up in my life and be worried about things, and I'll be all of a sudden fearful on something, and it's like, well, what is that? And I realized that it was my inner child was just terrified. It was taking on grown-up responsibilities that weren't really necessary. So I do a lot of work with my clients on that too. I think it's really an important piece to be able to have a dialogue with that inner child and help that to release some of the fears and the childhood stuff. There's also shadow work. If people have done any of that in the past, the whole concept of who would you be without that thought. Where we hold on to our story about the past and some of those fears, and we don't want to let go. So a lot of good work around that. I did mention access consciousness already. Really like the, who does that belong to piece, but also the great ideas and questions to ask yourself in terms of how to decide what's true for you and really to release these fears and the whole clearing statement that they have to just let this stuff out of your body, let it go. I'm calling you from beautiful Sedona. That people don't know that I have moved recently and from Massachusetts to Sedona, Arizona. I'm very excited about Sedona, but along with Sedona is the Sedona method, which was invented here. I also use that quite a bit. It's a release technique that's very simple and really just getting in touch with what we're feeling and giving yourself permission to release it. Really an important piece. I've done a lot of work with EFT also, emotional freedom technique. Again, use that with clients. I've done some work with Carol Look and other people in experts in that area, and really find it a great tool for fears, letting go of stuff, again, that's in the way. And there's a lot of EFT for weight loss, which is also cool, and for cravings. Sometimes, again, it's that, when you're cruising the cabinets or you really want chocolate, a little EFT sometimes will just release those cravings, release some of that trapped emotion that you've been conditioned to associate with food. So it's a really cool thing. And then chakra clearings, and we don't have time to talk about that much, but it is a huge piece, particularly the lower chakras. I realized I wasn't in my body. It wasn't, the upper chakras, I was like wide open, always there, floating, kind of above my head. That's where I kind of lived. I didn't look in the mirror. I didn't see myself. Didn't feel my body. So being able to ground my body and to really open up, particularly the first and second and third chakras, to get myself fully in the body and to clear issues there. A lot of great work along that. And again, in the group program that be telling you about, we will be spending a lot more time on these techniques, a lot of stuff to do that. So we're so conditioned. It's a fear-based world, and we're used to living on the low end of that scale. And that's, you watch the news, you read the newspaper, you get constantly bombarded with all of this fear, and that, the world is fearful and that you have to be afraid. And that it's just, again, conditioning, and it's not true. And we create our own reality, and we can create it from the high end of the scale. So we got to identify where those fears are and then use some of these techniques to move that out. And the last piece I wanted to talk to you about was listening to your heart. And this is really, being able to tap into your own heart and to listen to your own inner wisdom and to develop some trust in yourself in that, because we all have this inner voice, and it guides us all on a daily basis. We have this ability to tap into this incredible knowledge and incredible divine inspiration for how we run our lives, and we tend to not do that, but it is there, and it is something that you can develop along with. You can call it intuition. It's what I tend to call it, because people recognize that, and we were all born with that ability, to listen to our inner senses, and it's an inner voice that connects us to our higher self, or Wayne Dyer calls it the source. Or people think about it as higher power, or however you want to think about divine knowledge, how you think about it, God. I love the Bob Proctor quote. He says about that prayer is when God talks to us. Prayer is when we talk to God, and intuition is when God talks to us. So really wanting to be able to tap into that voice of God and figure out how we do that. And we're all born with that ability. We all have this gift. Unfortunately, it's in our head-based society, it's not valued, and it's like most children lose touch with their inability by the end of first grade. It's real sad stuff. It's there, and it's just so it's like a muscle. So as adults, we have to really learn how to get back to it and practice with it and get to use it, and develop it more in ourselves, because it still is there. And the other aspect of our intuition, so not only connecting with God, but it also is connecting with that inner wisdom of the body, because the body is very wise, and there's so much the body can tell you. So really listening to what it is that you need and what is the body needs. Being able to listen to the wisdom of your body temple, as they say. I just love that concept, and being able to respond to the messages that we hear. So going inside, getting in touch with that higher self, and also getting in touch with the body itself and asking for the wisdom of the body, because there's so much the body can tell you about, what it is, in terms of whatever it needs, and whatever is going on, what needs to be released. I have a great Abraham Hicks quote here that I think is really cool. I'm going to say this real quickly, and then I'm going to open it up for questions in a minute. So you take your inner being everywhere you go. If you take your inner being to the party, it's going to be a good party. If you take your inner being, the food you eat will be received perfectly by the cells of your body. Every word that comes out of your mouth will be beneficial to everyone who hears them with their ears or with their vibration. Don't go anywhere without your inner being. That's what allowing is. Always having your inner being present. And then anything else that happens is always orchestrated perfectly by the law of attraction. So, Abraham Hicks, love that quote. So we want to be in touch with our inner being. It's really important for us to tap in and to learn to trust that, and to really expect miracles. Really expect miracles, and understand that we can be certain of the outcome. That we can have our dream. You can have your dream body. You can create that, and that it is a gift that you have, and the ability that you can do. And by demonstrating and really gratitude for the gift of your own body with love and respect, that you can shift into the high end of that scale and create the dream body that you would like, the dream life that you would like. So I also just want to take a moment and talk a little bit about my new program, which I'm so excited about. I am offering this information, because we could just barely scrape the surface of so much, and I think you got the idea that this is a lot. I'm going to do an 8-week spiritual weight loss group coaching program. And I love this idea because I've been doing this with individual clients, but I love group coaching, and it's a way to make it affordable for people. If you haven't been able to do individual coaching and you would like some coaching, group coaching is a great way to do this. And I think this topic works really well in a group because you get to share in the process. So basically what this is going to do is I'm going to limit this to 10 people. It's going to be a small group. So it's only 10 people, and there'll be 8 sessions, and they're going to be 90 minutes on the phone. And you'll have worksheets to do in between, so you can write things down for yourself and have some plans of what you want to do, and some journaling aspects of it too for learning for yourself. But basically what we're going to do is I'll have essentially in the 90 minutes of a check-in piece where people can see where they're at, and everyone gets a chance to speak up. We'll have a teaching segment. I'll bring in some tools or some concepts that we want to learn. Then we'll do some practicing, and some asking of questions, and then some real life coaching of clients. And not everyone probably in every session will get coached, but the people who do get coached, it usually is a great learning for everyone listening. There's something in it for everybody when that happens. So you got to be brave enough to want to do that in front of other people. So it's a great, incredible experience. And I think I know from doing group coaching how powerful this will be. So wanted to offer to people who have registered and who will be getting the link in your email with the replay for this call, you will get a link to be able to go and to actually sign up for this this group coaching. It's starting in January 10th, and I'm going to do it on a Tuesday, and it's going to be an hour and a half for 90 minutes, starting 5 o'clock Pacific time or 8 o'clock Eastern time, also, people going through this will also get an individual 30-minute coaching call with me, which is part of the deal to help you to work through whatever's coming up or to plan how you want to move forward, if you're stuck or you need to just want to run your plan by me, because part of the whole idea would be to come out with a plan on how to move forward and what you're going to do to keep it going after the 60 days. So, all of that, including the time with me, I priced it really low for the big introductory price for this first class, and it'd be $297. So very excited about being able to offer to you for that price, because it's going to go up in the future. It will not stay that low, but I will send you the link if you're interested in this. I'm, like I said, really thrilled to the opportunity to be able to do this with a group, and I know that it's going to be incredibly powerful. All right, so what I'd like to do now is to open it up for questions. And if you have a question for me about any of the content that I've talked about and or the program I've just talked to you about, you can raise your hand by pressing *2 on your phone if you're on the phone. We have a lot of people on the phone. And then we've got a lot of people on the webcast also. So if you're on the webcast, you got a little button there, or a little place where you can write in there. And you can ask me a question on the webcast as well. And I've already got a few questions on the webcast. Let me see if we get questions on the phone. Does anybody want to raise their hand on the phone? All right, so we're not getting any people on the phone, but let me go to the webcast and we have a couple of questions. All right, so someone's saying, hi, Cecily, you mentioned clearing chakras. How do you do that? And how do you know that they need to be cleared? All right, this is John in Glenmore. John, all right, so chakras, this is a huge topic, and it's a really big area, and just learning about the chakras are important, and there are a lot of techniques for clearing them, and each one represents different aspects, and there are different things to look for and to be able to work with them, and then there are exercises you can do. So these are things that we definitely will be working on in the group coaching, particularly the lower chakras. So again, the ones that if you haven't worked with chakras, it's hard to tell you which ones are blocked, but you do have to be able to find them and do that. But it's a good bet that if you're have some extra poundage, that your lower chakras need to be cleared, especially. So it could be other ones also, but because that tends to be where we are not in our bodies enough. So I really can't. There are times to go into that, but it definitely is going to be a big piece of what the group will be working on. There will be some techniques and some practices that you can do, particularly in between the classes, to do that. So if you're interested in that, there's lots of stuff, too, on the web. I'm trying to think of her name. Carol Tuttle is I think one of the best. She has a whole program on chakras if you're interested in looking her up. She was in our Angel Telesummit, and she does a lot of work with chakras. So Carol Tuttle, if you Google her, and she has lots of, she actually has a great program, and she has actually a free test online. You can go in, and it'll tell you which one of your chakras is blocked based on the test. So I highly recommend you can start with Carol's work, and then if you're interested, join us. Love to have Guy on the group. That'd be great. I know there's a few guys listening. We got a lot of women, but we definitely got some men on this class too. So, all right. Then we have Louise from Shelton, and she said, I deal with my emotions by numbing my body and holding it tight. It feels like this stops my metabolism from working efficiently and keeps me heavy. Do you think there can be any truth in this? Absolutely, Lois, absolutely. This is that's part of the issue of numbing your body and not allowing, again, the emotions to come out. Your body's holding them in, and they have to go somewhere, so your body actually creates this protective mechanism to do that. So being able to release the emotions in your body and relaxing the body, and again, getting it at the higher vibration, at the love vibration, then you are going to release it, and it's very common. Well, so you're not alone in that. That's clearly an issue I had, and it was when I started to recognize that, and getting more in touch with my feelings, letting them go, and practicing relaxing and doing things to deliberately, a lot of meditation, a lot of work in that area. So absolutely. Okay, and we have Frini from Austria, Vienna, Austria. Wow. I read and trusted a book about wishing yourself slender. And she said, I gained 10 kilos. Oh, no, kilograms. Should you enlighten me about what happened? I surely did not eat more. Could be more that I moved less, but 10 kilograms, I don't know. Specifically, Trini, because I'm not familiar with the book and what the premise was around wishing yourself thin. Because I think, wishing is one thing, but truly visualizing it and feeling it and being, you can't get to your dream by going there. You have to get to your dream from there. So you actually have to get yourself to a higher level of vibration and be that ideal body, that dream body, and feel it and see it and experience what it's like. And that's different than wishing, because wishing to me is just, it's just a desire. It's not an actual living your dream, actually being that dream and raising your vibration. So I'm not sure about that, but there is definitely a difference between wishing and actively being you're at the level of the high vibration of your dream. So we will practice that in our group session, absolutely. I have Nancy from North Tonawanda. I love these places. It's great. How does a senior lose weight when everything sags and the bones just do not want to move very fast anymore? Well, I am getting up there in my age too, so I really believe that age doesn't matter. And again, it is what your thoughts are. So we also believe that as we get older, it's harder to lose weight, and that we're going to fall apart and get pain and illness and have to take drugs. I mean, it's all a conditioning that we have. So if we can turn that around and believe that we can be healthy and vital. I actually just had tea this morning with an 85-year-old woman who was as spry as you can be and as sharp as you can be, and just a charming, she was a Holocaust survivor, and just the most fascinating person to speak with. And don't have to have that happen to you just because you get older. And, slowing down a little bit, sure, but there's still things you can do to move around and to see yourself being able to do that and have that as part of your dream body, regardless of your age. Here's Tanya from Milton Keynes in the UK. Okay. So she's just asking about calling on the phone. So, all right. So I'm going to just refresh that, see if we get any more questions. Oh, we've got a couple of hands up here. Okay. So I'm going to unmute you and identify you. Oh, I don't have. Okay. So yes, I do. All right. The last 4 digits of your phone number. So the first person that I am unmuting in the last 4 digits is 7646. It looks like Jay. Hi, hello.
Hi, yes, my name is Juanita, and I'm in Arlington, Virginia.
Hi, Juanita.
How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Well, you know, the main reason I wanted to say something, it's not a question so much as a statement of gratitude for this wonderful call. And I want to say to the lady who's a senior, I'm 68 years old. And
wow.
I know you can't tell by the sound of my voice, but I am. And what I really wanted to say was I have used Isagenix extremely successfully, and I'm down 43 pounds since August. And like I said, I'm 68 years old. And I don't want to give you a commercial, but I do want to encourage people, if they haven't looked into this product, to please contact Cecily so she can tell you what it's all about. It'll be well worth it.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for your endorsement and for letting us know about that, too, because I do believe, and I didn't want it to be a commercial for that product, but it is an incredibly wonderful product, and it works for every age.
It does, and that's what I wanted to emphasize, yes.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Did you have a question, or you just wanted to endorse?
No, I'm just so excited because so many of the things that you're saying I know to be true, and I thank you for bringing it all together for me because you've just confirmed that I'm on the right track.
Excellent, and good for you at 68 to know that you can still have your dream body. You don't have to expect any outcome that you don't want as you move forward, and you're doing all the right things. That's great.
Thank you so much, and God bless you, and have a wonderful 2012.
Oh, well, thank you, and you also, and thank you for speaking up and endorsing Isagenix, too. I'll just throw that in one more time because it is important to hear what you've been able to accomplish.
You have no idea.
All right. Thanks so much.
I know you do know. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
All right, and we have another question here, and just unmuted you, and the last 4 digits is 2338. It looks like Edith.
Yes. Hello, Cecily.
Hello.
I'm from Flint, Michigan.
Hi. I love Michigan.
It's beautiful here, but just unfortunately no snow right now. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you so much for this call. I'm getting so much out of it and so much wisdom. My question is, do you use affirmations in conjunction with these principles? And do you have some favorite ones?
Well, yes, I do. I use a lot of affirmations, and I think that it is important. It's part of, being to reprogramming that subconscious mind and helping you to really think about it. I have... I'm trying to think of what are some of them. I've been working on finances lately, so I was looking at all the little stickies on my desk, so I tend to write things. I was like, do I have anything about my body right now? Because I've been successful with that. So I used to have a whole bunch of ones around, being vibrant and healthy and my ideal weight and sexy. Getting, whatever it is that you really truly want. So what would come up for you, Edith? What when you think about your ideal or your dream body? What would you like it to be?
I can identify with the lady you just spoke with because I'm 69, and my body is going to take a lot of work to get to the dream image that I have of it, but I know I can achieve it. But that's
Great.
what I want to. That's what I want to look in the mirror and be proud of who I am, and not where I'm at right now. Because on the scale of 1 to 10, I'm down pretty low.
So yeah, as an affirmation, that sounds from what you said is being able to, I look in the mirror and I love what I see.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a good place to start, because, if you're down low on the scale, you really going to have to flip that over, to really start to feel the love for your body and for who you are. And don't hold that you've got a lot of work to do or that it's going to take a long time, because that isn't necessarily true. So if you can work this and just don't flip into because those are, again, the negative things. You're putting some judgment on it. You don't know what it'll take for you to create what it is that you want.
That's true, but, that's a programming thing from a long, long time ago, that once it gets in your subconscious, it's very hard to get out,
Oh, absolutely, and we all have it. We've all got that programming, and that's what all of this is counter to what we've been taught in terms of how to lose weight and to actually to be the ideal, as the society would tell us, in terms of using willpower and brute force to make ourselves doing this, and as opposed to really working it from the inside out, which is ultimately the only way that it'll work for us. And it goes against so many things that we've been taught. So that you have to be vigilant, and that's where I think affirmations can work out great, and it can help you if you can find some really good ones.
Well, you've certainly helped me tonight, and I thank you. And you have a blessed 2012, and I know you're going to be very prosperous.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Edith. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And happy 2012 to you also.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Let me just check and see one more time on the webcast, because we're running fairly long here. Thanks for hanging in there and for all of these things. Okay. We just have one more. Chica in Miami is asking about speaking more on releasing fear, particularly recurring fears. And I'm not sure, Chica, what specifically you're referring to in terms of recurring fears, but we tend to do that. Have things that we picked up as children that we have been fearful of, and then it just keeps showing up over and over and over and over again, because we've bought into the fact that that's real for us, when it's really is actually just a lie that we have bought into. So part of it is, what I would suggest as a place to start is to write down all the things you're afraid of. To make a list. That's something that the group will do as a place to start around fears, because I had to do that, and it was really intense list. I was like, oh my God, I had to really admit that I was afraid of all these things. And then I had an anxious night that night. It was hard to sleep because I had raised all of this stuff that showed up. But once I had it on a piece of paper, I could start to work on it and notice where it came from and do some of the work in terms of understanding how to release it. So the most important piece is to really to identify them and to be real honest with them. Once you start this list, it's amazing what comes up, and you can also ask your inner child what your inner child is afraid of, because most of the fears, the ones particularly the reoccurring fears, they come from that child that was hurt or was felt unsafe at some place in your life. So going back to your childhood and asking, go inside, get quiet, and really ask your inner child, what is she afraid of? Or I think, Chica, you're a girl. What is she afraid of? And listen. What does she tell you that she's afraid of? Because you'll understand what that is and where it came from. and what she needs from you to not be afraid. So that's a really important dialogue to have and to try to do that. So, all right, I think I've gotten all of the questions at this point, and we went way over, so I do want to stop. So I just want to, again, let you know that I would love to have you all to let me know what your feedback was on this. Sounds like so far we've gotten some great feedback from a few of the callers. I really do appreciate that. And I also, excited to be able to hold the 10 spots in the group coaching for you all to sign up. So look for the email with the link for the replay so you can listen to this again. I know I packed in a whole lot of stuff in a short amount of time. And then, please, if it feels right for you and you would like to experience group coaching, which is just an extraordinary process, I would love to have you join us in January on the 10th to start that process. So I just want to thank everyone so much for being here tonight and to realize that, it is an important aspect for all of us to get in touch with our inside when we really are trying to make changes outside, and that the shifts that I've been able to make in my own life to me is for the very first time in being successful in doing that has been a miracle. And I do know that we can, when we expect those miracles, and that we can have them, and that we can really know that they're going to happen, and that we can have what we want because we all deserve it as our birthright as divine beings, and that we know that the universe is there to back us up and give us what we want. So I'm just going to end real quickly with a quote from Alan Cohen, and I love this. It says, "When you recognize there is enough inside you, enough outside you shows up to match it." So with that, thank you so much. Bless you, and have a wonderful New Year's, and hopefully we'll see you all again for more programs in the new year. Take care now. Good night.